Photograph leaders, welcome back to my channel. We're back on the east coast. This is the east coast of Demerara. We're at the Rupert Craig Highway between, what is it, Bel Air. That's the village of Bel Air Springs. And we are in Sophia, heading towards Liliendal. So I just wanted to bring you this perspective of development here at Rupert Craig Highway. So the last time we were here, this plot of land was being cleared for a new housing development. That's about 6 months ago. Now that land has been cleared, they've been filling in the lot with sand. I don't know yet what will be built here, but we're going to wait and see what happens. I think there's going to be multi-unit condominium or rental apartments, such as the ones next door. These buildings next door,
Distance,
these are
4 miles. Duration 1 hour 7 minutes 51
those are rental
seconds.
apartments.
Pace 20 minutes 1 second per mile.
And of course in front next door, that is the Yokohama Trading. They sell Japanese vehicles, imported vehicles from Japan. I had a discussion online recently with people who were having trouble buying imported vehicles in Guyana, and I used to make content about that. I used to make content about that in the past. I'm going to get back to doing that. But this building behind that is the Pashia Global 5-star hotel. Last time we looked at this hotel, it was about 13 stories tall. Can we count how many stories it's gone up since then? We know the bottom, that's the first 3 floors, we can't see, they're behind the buildings. But then that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They're working on the 14th floor. So they've actually added 1 story to this building since the last time we looked at it. It's still growing. I think it's probably going to end up at 16 floors, like somebody said in an earlier video that I made in the comments for that video. But we're gonna have to wait for the final result eventually. So this is going to be some kind of multi-unit condominium that's being constructed here, but I don't see any billboards or any signs indicating what will be built. They just built a very expensive wall so far around the property. We're gonna have to wait and see what it looks like. Now straight ahead, remember we're on the seawall, walking east. Straight ahead is what used to be the COVID hospital. In fact, it used to be a hotel, and the government, I think during the COVID epidemic, converted that hotel into a hospital, and it remains the COVID hospital. But I haven't visited or done an update on it, although people have been asking me what became of it. So I'm just going to give you a little review from the outside of that COVID hospital. So let's get down from the wall and take a walk on the road so we can take a look at this COVID hospital. So that's the seawall. I'll show you. We've gotten to the end of the mangrove area. So what happens is that so these mangrove trees have now spread all the way east to this point, Well, there's a section here at Lilydale Sophia where the bandwidth have not yet grown. I'm sure they're going to be all over this area. So, but it shows you, we can still be able to see the mud flats. These mud flats I've talked about in previous videos. Instead of arguing about who owns the land along Carifesta Avenue, as I suggested, there is acres and acres of mud flats that can be reclaimed just beyond the border, just beyond this seawall that nobody owns. This is land that nobody owns and that can be reclaimed. And instead of piling, they've actually piled tons and tons of earth onto that property that they are building, that is Assets Group building, where the new Hilton Hotel is going to be. That earth could have been used to fill in the mud flats and gain acres of property that nobody disputes, nobody claims. Instead, they are tied up in court for at least a year now over disputed ownership of the land along Carifesta Avenue. But such is the reality. So what I'm going to show you here is, okay, that's looking west towards Georgetown. You can barely make out in the distance the top of the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center. Beyond that is the Marriott Hotel. What I'm showing you here, this is looking east, is the new, or not new anymore, but the COVID hospital. So the COVID hospital was repurposed from an old hotel. I think it was the Ocean View Hotel that was located at this property. The back of the property is the seawall. So the seawall is at the other end, and in front of this property is along this Rupert Craig Highway. And I promised someone that I would give you an update on this COVID hospital. So presently the hospital is not fully utilized because there are only a very few cases of COVID-19 5 years after the epidemic. And most times when I pass, I see a few people. Some of them look elderly, hanging out at the back of the building. That is the hospital. You can actually see inside the compound from the seawall, so I'm probably gonna have to give you a look at that from the seawall end as well. But as far as I'm aware, this hospital is not being fully utilized for cases besides COVID-19. But it could be a hospital for infectious diseases, tropical diseases. That's looking back where we've come from along Rupert Craig Highway, and the sign says we came through Sophia. We're now in Lilydale. We're now in Lilydale. I think this is a hotel, or used to be a hotel of some sort. It seems to be abandoned, and of course behind the hotel there you can see Pashia Global 5-star Hotel rising in the distance. But yes, this is the COVID hospital. This is one of the entrances. So you can see RK Security. They have the official, I guess,
Attention, low
contract
battery.
to operate the hospital. But this used, like I said, this used to be a hotel, the Ocean View Hotel, that was repurposed in 2020. I think at the end of the
Attention, low battery.
of the coalition government. So the decision to repurpose this hotel was made by the coalition government in 2020 before they hand over to the current PPP government. But this is what it looks like from the east coast public road. Of course, again, another view of the Pashia
Attention, low battery.
Global 5-star Hotel and Resort, rising above the rooftops of all the houses in this neck of the woods. And straight ahead, Pattinson. That is the new pump station, built at the cost of several hundred million Guyana dollars. And of course, in the distance, Movie Town. That's Movie Town in Turkine. So guys, this is the COVID hospital. For those of you who wanted to see whatever became of it, this is the eastern end of it. And this is the eastern end of the COVID hospital. See at this end, they have their generation plant. Generators and water supply systems. This is the east end of COVID. And let me see if I can give you a view of it from the seawall, because I'll be able to get a better vantage point to see over the fence, over the wall of the COVID hospital. This is the pump station here in Dal. Remember, they actually built an outhouse, a toilets and wash-up facilities there. That was destroyed within a year. Somebody set fire to it. Remember, this is, I think I showed this in a previous video. This was destroyed by fire and it's now boarded up. It is a toilet. Yes, this is the back end of the COVID hospital here at Lilliendal. And this is what has become of it. These are the water storage facilities. And from the wall, now standing on the seawall again, from the wall you can see the inside of the compound. There used to be a pool, a swimming pool, in the back here from the hotel. The hotel had a swimming pool in the back here. I think they probably filled it in, so you can no longer see a swimming pool over the wall. But yes, if you go back to some of the very old videos that I made, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, you'll see that there used to be a swimming pool back here. So this is what the COVID hospital looks like in 2025. Like I said, I don't think it's being fully utilized now. And like I said, I usually see just a few people hanging out in the back of the building. These could be patients or people who work here, security and so on. But this is the state of the COVID hospital in 2025. And still, of course, beyond you can see the crane from that new Pashia Global 5-star Hotel. They've put bars, grill bars on the balconies. I think this used to be balconies for the hotel. They've actually closed in all those balconies and turned them into rooms, hospital rooms. And I think they filled in the pool. And there was this vacant space between these two buildings. I think they probably turned that into a parking lot. There used to be a space between the Ocean View Convention Center, which was that building, and the Ocean View Hotel, which is this building. And that space, I think, is now a parking lot. That space between the buildings is now a parking lot, but as you can see, the parking lot is empty, which tells me that this hospital is unoccupied. I think maybe that's their administration building now, hospital administration. They were still working on this building, kind of renovating it and repurposing it up to a year or two ago, because it wasn't complete. There was still a lot of exterior construction going on. But this is what it looks like. For those of you who wanted to see what happened to the COVID hospital, here it is at Liliendal. Backs up against the seawall and the Atlantic Ocean. And I think it still has vacancy for, I guess, future emergencies, because right now I don't think it's being utilized as a hospital. I guess it's going to become a specialty hospital eventually when they find staff, nurses and doctors to fill it. It could be repurposed for things like tuberculosis and other infectious diseases that are hardly being treated in the tropics, tropical diseases. This is what's up, guys. This is what's happening in this neck of the woods. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about the redevelopment of this area in 2025. This is the East Coast along